The Local Agency Compensated Enforcement Program, or LACE, became a part of Louisiana law enforcement in the 1980s after the Louisiana State Police suffered from lack of state funding. LACE was patterned after a previous program to put more troops on the roads when the state couldn't. The program eventually expanded to local jurisdictions. The Louisiana LACE program recently made headlines when 3 members of the Louisiana State Police were caught padding their timesheets to earn extra money while they sat at home. So, after I was contacted by several Rayne citizens about concerns they had with the LACE program there, I made a public records request for the records necessary to audit 3 months' worth of citations and timesheets for the program. So before we get into the police department's response to my request, you should know some of the requirements for the LACE program and for issuing traffic citations here in the state of Louisiana. First, the police department must have an intergovernmental agreement with the agency providing the LACE funding. Second, the chief is required to maintain a record of the court disposition of each and every ticket submitted to the court and keep records and copies of spoiled tickets that do not go to the court. Also, it's illegal for public employees or public officials to cancel tickets. Charges can only be dropped by the prosecutor. And the last thing you probably should know is that the chief is required to have the traffic citations audited quarterly. The police department hired Attorney Joy Rabelais to handle the chief's public duty and respond to the public record request. Her response came a couple of days later, and I was advised that the tickets I requested had to be pulled and that the pulling had to be done manually. And while the Louisiana Public Records Law requires that they give me a date and a time when the records will be ready for inspection, I was given an estimate of a few days. I'm also told that the LACE program is funded by the Rayne Municipal Court, who also oversees the disposition of the tickets, and that the police department doesn't have a policy for LACE. I'm also told that there are no joint service agreements between the department and anyone else for the LACE program. 7 days following the department's first response and 9 days after my original request, the department finally produced a few records. First, they produced a department policy for their LACE program, something I was originally told did not even exist. The policy they produced did not have a date when it was adopted, so the policy could have been, drawn up specifically for my request. The department also produced timesheets for the LACE's shifts and their regular shifts, but then illegally redacted the times, claiming that the timesheets were actually schedules. Notice how the times were removed from the regular shift timesheets. Even though these timesheets don't list the time the shift began or ended, it only lists the actual hours that were worked. So after this, I had to submit another request and ask that the records be produced without the redactions. The next day, the LACE timesheets were produced without redactions, but the regular timesheets were produced with modified redactions. I was told that they were redacted to exclude any information that I had not requested. I was told that the department doesn't actually keep the actual times that they work, only a number of hours that they work per day. So nobody knows whether they started working at 8 or 9 or 4 in the afternoon, just that they worked 8 hours that day. How long do you think a private business would stay in business if they kept their records like this? But it's not their money, so they don't really care. With all that said about the constant delays and illegal redactions, let me tell you a few things I found odd in reviewing the timesheets and the department policies. First, I learned that the Rayne Police Department, whose budget is over $2 million this year, keeps shoddy payroll records that will set the taxpayers up to be easy victims of payroll fraud. Even though Rayne Police Department policy forbids LACE enforcement on Sundays, holidays, and during inclement weather, I found instances where one detective, Travis Guidry, worked 5 LACE hours on the 4th of July. I also found where another police department employee, Brandon Dupree, worked 10 LACE hours on top of his regular 8-hour shift on August 24th as Hurricane Harvey bore down on this area. And finally, I want to tell you about my trip that I made to the police department to inspect the original citations that were written. First of all, I was required to make an appointment to inspect the records, even though the law does not require me to make an appointment. The law requires that the records be made available for inspection at any time during the normal business hours. I complied with the requirement as a courtesy to them, but sadly, when I arrived, I was presented with redacted copies of the tickets, which I was only allowed to inspect 1 page at the time, and although I called them out on their childish behavior, and even though I asked to see the originals when I was presented with the copies, my request was ignored. I have asked again for the department to provide me with the original records. The department, through their attorney, continues to stall and make excuses as to why, when I made my original request almost a month ago, they still don't have the records available for inspection.
I'm trying to find out why I cannot have all of these records presented to me at one time. What is the reason that she's going to have to hand them to me one at a time? That's my question.
For accountability. You want to view, she's going to let you view one at a time. You can scan them, whatever you choose to. You return it, she'll give you another one. You get to go through the whole stack.
I didn't request one record at the time. I requested all of these records.
You also was told if you wanted all the records at one time, you pay a fee and you'll get them.
So if I give you some money, I can see them all at one time. Is that what you're saying?
You still viewing them?
No. My question is...
I'm not getting an argument with you.
But how much money will it cost me to be able to see them all at one time? How much?
Well, Joy forwarded that to you.
No, she never did give me a price because I told her I wasn't paying for them. I told her that I'd be happy to come in here and go through them here.
Okay.
But I can't have them one at a time unless I give you some, I can't have them all at one time unless I give you some money. That's what you're telling me, right?
No.
So can I have them all at one time? May I have them all at one time?
You could view them. All right, the only thing it said, we have to make them available to you, okay? We'll make them available to you.
Okay, you're not making them available to me. They're over there.
One at a time, you could view them. When you finish with it, she'll give you the second one. We got 400, I think right on 400 of them. What do you want to do?
I want the whole stack so that I can sit here and just start sending them through my scanner. That's what I'd like. I don't want to have to ask for another one.
Okay.
I asked for all of them at one time.
When you submit one through your scanner.
Sir, I didn't submit 400 public record requests. I submitted one
for
all of these records, not one at the time.
But it doesn't say that you have a right to have all 4 of them and scan. All right, she's submitting them to you. You plan on scanning them.
Okay. I get it. How much will it cost me to be able to have them all at one time? Can you find out from Joy? Can you let me know? Because I don't know if I'm going to have as much time as you think I'm going to have to sit here and wait for her to hand them to me one at a time. That's ridiculous.
No, that's just the process that we're going to do. All right? You chose to come here and view them. You're going to view them. We'll give them to you one at a time. You can only look at one document at a time. Teresa, I'm not going to argue with you. Okay? It's not always about Teresa. All right?
No, it's not about Teresa. It's about the public that you serve and
Correct.
Their right to view these records. Not one at a time, not you guys putting me off for 2 weeks and making excuses for why I can't come in here and see them. And now can't even look at the original record, have no idea why. But now you're going to hand them to me one at a time. Why is that? Why can't I just, what is the reason I cannot have the whole stack?
Because they've been redacted as you requested.
They're redacted, right? Okay. I didn't request them to be redacted.
The attorney redacted, and they're here. You could view them, just like you choose to. It's public records. You could view them, you could scan them, you could record them like you're doing right now. We have no problem. As fast as you scan it, she's going to hand you another one.
I'm going to play this video. You guys are going to look. You're going to look like you're doing your very best to withhold public records.
Well, we're not.
You're going to look like, sir, you can interrupt me all you want, but you're going to look like you're doing your best to intimidate people into not asking for these records. No. That's exactly what you're doing.
That's only your view of it, Teresa.
Well, what is the reason? I mean, do you not trust me to sit here and do this? What do you think I'm going to do? What about the accountability am I going to do with copies of records
just like we
that you've already redacted?
Just like we have accountability, you got to have accountability too. Okay?
Sir, I'm not accountable to you. I don't work for you. I don't work for the taxpayers. I don't work here. I'm a taxpayer. I'm a citizen. I have a right to look at these records.
And you have the right, and you're going to be afforded that opportunity to look at them.
But you're going to you're going to just make it as inconvenient for the public that you serve as possible. That's what you're doing.
I'm not making it inconvenient for the public. They're welcome to come anytime just like you and view anything they want.
Welcome to come anytime. It's taken me 2 weeks to get in here to even be able to see this. You guys keep putting me off. And now that I'm here, I'm going to have to sit here, for days trying to go through this, one at a time? That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. And you know it.
You can only view one document at a time, Teresa. Your argument is ridiculous yourself.
It doesn't matter how many documents I can review at the time. That's none of your business how many documents. What your business is to provide me with the records. That's your business. They're all redacted. You should hand them all to me. Because that's what I asked for. I made one record request for all the records. Not 400 record requests for 400 separate records, one at the top.
Every record you request, the tickets are right there. You'll be handed one at a time to get a copy.
You guys are ridiculous. It's just ridiculous.